The Roman Gabriel Show.
You get a shot at the Steelers, who, at the time are the most dominant team in the NFL, and for it to be at the Rose Bowl and be in Southern California. I know for you, it had to have meant a great deal.
Well, it was fun. There was a few California guys in that game on both sides. It was a great day, one of the most beautiful days, I think, in recorded Rose Bowl history. We got to play the best team. It was a tough game. We matched up very well against them. We had every intention of winning the game. Boy, I don't know, Roman, you could probably look this up. They only gained about 63 yards against us the whole game. They had to beat us by passing, and we were ahead the whole game all the way up into the fourth quarter. Bradshaw threw a ball over the middle. I turned around and I said, "Oh, good, we got an interception." And Nolan Cromwell hit his chest plate, popped out. He would have scored on that. That was about a 29-yard touchdown. It was so frustrating, You know that in that sport, to be good is to be blessed, but to be lucky, is heaven sent. You have to have great luck in these games. You got to play well, got to be in a position to win. But at the same time, you also have to be able to be ready for a big break. And it almost happened. It just didn't happen to flower out for us,
Hi, everybody. This is Roman Gabriel. Welcome to a new edition of the Roman Gabriel Show. Coming in with me, Los Angeles Rams defensive end and the actor, Hunter Fred Dreyer. He was one of the great defensive ends in Ram history. Although undersized, he wreaked havoc on NFL quarterbacks with 104 sacks, including leading the Rams with Jack Youngblood with 30 sacks in 1974. In his 12-year career, Dreyer played on one of the toughest defenses in the NFL, the Los Angeles Rams of the 1970s. He went on, after a successful football career, into acting. Early in his career, he was up for the role of Sam Malone on Cheers. Although he didn't get that role, they loved him enough to put him on 5 episodes of Cheers, and that led to the opportunity on the NBC network to play the iconic LA detective Hunter. He also has appeared in the Marvel episodes Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., NCIS, Adult Swim, and several other roles. Today, he has a successful sports radio show on CRN Digital. Of course, we talked about some of those great Rams stories, the 79 Rams that went to Super Bowl 14 to play the Steelers. We also talked about one of the most famous roles that he ever played. That was Super Bowl 9 with his friend Lance Rensel, former Los Angeles Rams teammate, and the havoc that they reaped on Super Bowl Media Week. Enjoy this interview with my friend, former Los Angeles Rams defensive end, and the actor, Hunter Fred Dreyer. And remember, for all your entertainment and sports content, go to our official website at RomanGabrielShow.com. That's RomanGabrielShow.com, or anywhere you listen to podcasts, including Amazon Alexa and Google Assistant. All right, welcome to the Roman Gabriel Show. RomanGabrielShow.com, anywhere you listen to podcasts. And you know that coming from a Rams background with my father's career with the Rams and loving the Rams the way I do, he was a 69 draft pick of the New York Giants, and then, of course, went on to a great career with the Los Angeles Rams. Of course, played in that first Super Bowl out on the Rose Bowl, 104 career sacks, and went on to a really successful acting career. Everybody knows him as Hunter, detective on NBC and many other films and TV shows. My guest is long-awaited defensive end extraordinaire, Fred Dreyer. Fred, how are you, buddy?
Roman, great to be with you in the new millennium of communications.
I was telling this story to a good buddy of mine today. So my dad was living in Palm Springs in the off season, and he said, "Yeah, we're going to go down to LA and have lunch with Fred Dreyer." I said, that's cool. I said, so we get in the car and we show up, and Fred, I think you did pull up in the Volkswagen van.
Yeah, that was my transportation of record. Yes.
Yeah, and it was looking really good, and I felt kind of a kindred spirit because my first car at the time was a '74 Volkswagen, so that was nice. And we sat down for lunch, and the waiter came over, and everybody ordered. And Fred, I'll never forget this. You ordered a Caesar salad with just oil. And being a teenager, I'd heard.
So therefore, technically, it wasn't a Caesar salad.
Well, yeah. But I was always about oil and vinegar. I'd heard that, but when you did oil, it just always stuck in my mind all these years that I was with Fred Dreyer at lunch and he ordered a salad with just oil.
Yeah, I confused a lot of people through the years.
Would you consider yourself a vegan at that time? Would that be right? Never been a vegan,
nor will I ever be. I like my amino acids and proteins. It's just it comes in different forms, and I go about it differently than probably majority of the people. But I like to have my diet as I've gotten older much simpler. Fred Dreyer is with us, former Los Angeles Ram, and Fred, one of the things that people don't realize, back in the time that you played, is playing at 235 at defensive end at the NFL was something that you didn't see very often, and you played at that weight in college at San Diego State. But when you came into the NFL, were you trying to gain weight, or did you say, hey, I'm going to rely on my speed and the 235, 240 is where I need to be? Well, actually, what's interesting about it is when I was in college, I was about 215. I got drafted by the Giants, and my instinct was to be stronger and more flexible. If I gained weight in the process, so be it. And I always thought that it was a preposterous request on the part of the football people in my life to demand, actually, that I gain weight to satisfy their image of what I should be. And I just could never figure it out. So when I got to the Giants, they said, well, because here was the ratiocination, because you don't weigh a lot, we're probably going to move you to linebacker. And I said, well, I don't think that's going to work for me. And Tarkington said, listen, you drafted him as an end. He's more valuable as an end than he is a freaking linebacker. He says, as a quarterback, I can, and I talked to your dad about this, as a quarterback, I can isolate you as a linebacker with my offense and the things that I do. And, but as a defensive end, you're constantly, every single play has the potential to screw things up, whether it's a sack, whether it's a running play. There's four linemen, and we have to account for you somewhere in the blocking scheme. If you're a linebacker, we can run away from it. We can do a lot of things, and along the way, I maybe gained over the 13 years I played, I maybe gained about 11 pounds, maybe. Attributable to maturity weight as you get older. The key to my success was being smart and being available, being flexible, and not getting in the way of myself with thinking that I had to be a certain weight.
How did coming to the Rams, coming back home to Southern California where you grew up, where you went to college, you went to El Camino at junior college and then San Diego State, coming to a great Rams defense that had a lot of potential. How much more was your game elevated playing with Merlin and with Jack Youngblood and with that defense?
Well, that's a very, very interesting point, Roman, you make, because one of the key reasons, there was many reasons, but the key reason I left the Giants was so I could play with great people, to have an opportunity in that window of opportunity, to be in football experience that was key to, my fulfillment as a young man. I mean, I'm 20, drafted at 23, played 3 years in New York, came back out to the Rams at 26. Deacon Jones had left to San Diego. In 72, there was Merlin, Jack Youngblood, myself. Phil Olsen was there, and Larry Brooks, who was a rookie. He was great. Right off the bat, you could tell he was terrific. It's like when you hook up with other football players, and they're good, they recognize who's good. And there just wasn't enough of that with the Giants at the Patriots when they traded me to the Patriots for 15 minutes. And then they got me back out to LA. But you can tell who can move and who understands their job description and how it relates to their teammates. And that's what makes a great team when there's a collective spirit of understanding. And that's kind of like what I got when I came to the Rams. In 73, when Chuck Knox got there, he was an offensive line coach from Detroit. They hired him to be the head coach here, and he was a terrific coach. And he knew how to play the line of scrimmage. So he hired Ray Malavasi, a defensive line coach, who was our defensive coordinator at the time, and he put together a real interesting group of people, and they were good. We were good right off the bat, and the beautiful thing about it is that we understood why we were good, and most good teams do, as opposed to most players on most teams really kind of don't know why they're not good.
Well, you and Jack were young at that time when you came into the Rams. What did you learn from Merlin Olsen, who had been there for quite some time, that helped you not only as a player but as a group?
Well, Merlin, a 15-time All-Pro, which he was, and subsequently first ballot Hall of Famer, and so he provided a great deal of leadership just in his doing. There wasn't. What was fun was there wasn't a lot of there's more in the early days with lesser talented teams. There's more talking, and with good teams, there's less talking. And so you don't have to, there's nobody asking questions. You don't have to be, in awe of why people are good when they're terrific and when you're part of a team. And for the most part, Merlin provided great leadership by doing, and he had a tremendous fundamental and technique that he used to control the line of scrimmage and the player on the opposite side of the line of scrimmage. And he had a great way. He taught us little tiny things, keeping your shoulder square to the line of scrimmage. Don't get turned, and how to hold control at the line of scrimmage by placing your hands on shoulder pads of your opponent. And there was just certain great fundamentals and techniques that were used that everybody got to know and got to reinforce the more they'd played with one another. And it was one of the great reasons it's one of the great reasons great defenses are great. It's because they have the fundamentals and the techniques in order to control the line of scrimmage.
Fred Dreyer's with us, former Los Angeles Ram. And, Fred, that magical season when you guys made it to the Super Bowl for Super Bowl 14, and of course, this will be the first time this year that the Super Bowl comes back to Los Angeles,
Right.
which everybody's looking forward to with the spirit of the Rams back in LA again. That season was interesting because you guys have had some incredible seasons where you won a lot more games. Had some difficult games where you couldn't get by the Vikings, which was always seemed to be a struggle in the playoffs for the Rams.
It was either Minnesota or Dallas or somebody that was giving us a hard time.
Well, tell me about that season because a lot of people gave up on you guys in the middle of the season. You lost Pat Hayden at quarterback, and a young guy who's a Banning High School guy, played in Nebraska, takes over a quarterback at the end of the year. Vince Ferragamo. Tell me about what Vince did to get that offense going, to get, because the defense was so great, to make that playoff run.
Well, we were a defensive team, and when Pat went down, they put Vince in a quarterback, and he responded as if he had been back there 10 years. He was a little foggy, his personality is a little foggy, and he kind of had a real interesting way about him, and a little spacey, perhaps, I guess you would say. But he had great touch, and he had a natural gift for running the offense, and he rallied people instead of complaining and saying woe is me because we lost our starting quarterback in Pat. We suddenly kind of got recharged again because the Vince, who really wasn't expected to do that much, just drive the car between the white lines and don't stack anything up, as it were. But he was great. Vinny was terrific, and everything was working out great.
So tell me about Super Bowl. You get a shot at the Steelers, who at the time are the most dominant team in the NFL, maybe one of the greatest teams in the NFL.
Right.
Towards the end of their greatness, but still a very powerful football team. What was it like to have the opportunity to play the best in a game that you guys worked so hard to get to and finally got to, and for it to be at the Rose Bowl and be in Southern California? I know for you it had to have meant a great deal.
Well, it was fun. There was a few California guys in that game on both sides, and it was a great day, one of the most beautiful days, I think, in recorded Rose Bowl history. I always thought that was the best field to play on, and it was the fastest field I think I had played on. So like a putting green, and but we got to play the best team. It wasn't probably, as they say in the matchups, it was a tough game. We matched up very well against them. We had every intention of winning the game. We thought we would. It wasn't, arrogance or anything, but it was just we looked at their films. We saw what they did. We saw how they executed how they played the line of scrimmage. We saw how they pass blocked. They were terrific pass blockers and run blockers. By the way, I don't know, Roman, you could probably look this up as yards gained in a Super Bowl. They only gained about 63 yards against us the whole game. They had to beat us by passing. And the ironic thing is that they pulled a couple of we were ahead the whole game all the way up into the fourth quarter. And Bradshaw threw a ball over the middle that Nolan Cromwell had as an interception, and it popped out, hit his chest plate, and it popped out. He would have scored on that. That was about a 29-yard touchdown play.
And this was before the touchdown pass to Stallworth.
Oh yeah. I turned around and I said, "Oh, good, we got an interception," and boom, it popped out again. And it was so frustrating. In that sport, to be good is to be blessed, but to be lucky,
Right.
is heaven sent. You have to have great luck in these games. You got to play well. You really have to be able to be ready for a big break, and it almost happened. It just didn't happen to flower out for us.
I was going to ask you, that was a really great defensive team. And of course, Vince's play, brought you guys that passing game that really took the pressure off you guys.
Right.
But there were a lot of great teams in that 70s under Chuck Knox. What do you think the best Ram team that you were on during that 70s run was?
Well, my favorite team was the 74 team. I think we got beat by Dallas in a playoff game. So we didn't get it go as far as we thought we should have gone with that team. But that, for me personally, was my favorite team because of all the great individuals that were on the team.
Fred Dreyer's with us on the Roman Gabriel Show. Go to romangabrielshow.com. When I talk to a lot of the former Ram guys, everybody's got their George Allen story. My dad has a million of them, but is there a George Allen story that sticks out to you?
Yeah, there is. You got a little time?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
It's a podcast. That's the good news.
This is good. So the deal is, it's 1978, and George has been hired to be the head coach of the LA Rams for the second time.
Well, if you count the firing thing being brought back, it would have been three.
It's three times. Yeah. and so he loved the Rams. I mean, he just absolutely loved them. He went to the Washington Redskins. They hired him, and then George, I think, turned down a piece of ownership in these Redskins to get the opportunity to come back and coach the Rams. So here he is in training camp, and so he's had all these articles come out since he was hired earlier in the year, and of course George is Peck's bad boy. People are saying he'll screw this up. He's going to get fired. Blah blah blah, because he won't listen. He thinks he's the owner, and blah blah blah. All these things, all true, by the way. And so Carroll Rosenblum, owner of the Rams, hires him. He comes in. We're going through training camp, 2-a-days out in Fullerton, at Fullerton State College. And so one day, through all of this hubbub of how much power George has and what George wants to do, because he keeps giving interviews to people, we gotta get better players in here, and we had pretty good players until he showed up, and
so he was going to trade everybody away for a 14-year veteran.
Yeah, he wanted nothing but 35-year-old guys around him, that's which is great if you're getting older. So he comes over to me and Jack Youngblood during the morning practice, at the end of the morning practice, and says, when the whistle goes, when the practice is over, I want to talk to both of you over here underneath the goalpost. I said, you want to talk to me and Jack? He goes, yeah, the both of you. I want to talk to you. Okay. Practice is over. We look down. I figure, but he'll forget that he asked to talk with us and stuff. So let's just start to go out. And then the ball boy runs over and goes, Coach Allen would like to see both of you in the end zone. So so we go to the end zone, and George is sitting there with his shades on, and he's wiping away the saliva in the corners of his mouth, like he always did, And so he says, he says, I consider you guys leaders of the team. And he says, I just want you to know that I traded Isaiah Robertson to the Green Bay Packers this morning. and this will be a good thing for us as a team, and this will be a good thing for us. I don't think Butch is pulling the rope in the same direction. I think we can improve ourselves, and I just wanted you to know about it, because when it comes out, people are probably going to want to talk about it. You know how they are. And I said, he stops talking, and then I look at him, and he's staring at me, and then he looks at Jack, and I say, Jack, he can't do that, can he? And Jack looks at me and says, yeah, I don't think he can do that, George. And he looks at us and says, the hell I can't. He does. That next moment, moment in the afternoon, he's fired.
So he actually pulled the trade without any approval.
Right.
Wow.
And he paid for it with his job.
So that's the reason why he went.
And that's the reason.
I never knew that. That is a story I have never heard.
Many do not know that, because it was only me and Jack and George.
Wow.
And I kept my mouth shut, before, but now it's, everybody's down the road a ways. But that was incensed. That was, in fact, the key reason he was fired.
One of the more interesting stories that I can remember, and I want you to tell this to our audience. The Super Bowl has become an incredible media event, and of course, media day for the teams has become a crazy thing, but really wasn't that way in the early times of the Super Bowl. You had an opportunity where Dick Schaap with ABC, I believe, called you and Lance Rentzel about going to media day at the Vikings-Steelers Super Bowl and asking questions of the players and the team. Tell me about that.
Lance Rentzel, receiver for the Rams, the teammate, goes to the Dick Schaap and says he wanted to cover the Super Bowl. Would you at Sport Magazine send me to New Orleans to do that? So Lance calls me and says, I just got okayed to cover the sports, to cover this Sports Illustrated piece for the Super Bowl. And I can cover it any way I want. And it's going to be a quirky off-center type of a deal. And in 1974, the Super Bowl was barely 10 years old. If it wasn't even 10 years, it was like 6, 7 years, like 6, 7 years old. It was a new thing in the culture, And I said, oh, that's great, Rance. Good luck for you. He says, no, but I want to take you with me, and we can dress up as Roaring 20 reporters. And so I said, well, that's really a far out idea. Let's talk about it. So we talked about it, and we both agreed that we would go back to Dick Schaap and tell him this idea. The idea is we would go to Hollywood costumes and get Roaring 20 outfits, and we would pretend that we're going to cover the news, all the news that's fit to print, and we would go there and we would stay up all night. The media day, which was a luncheon at one of the hotels, and we had stayed up all night. And I put my suit, my natty suit, 20s suit, folded it up and put it underneath the first mattress of my bed. So when I did get up, so we went down the stairs with the wrinkled suit on, got on the bus. All of the reporters, Dick Young and in the New York papers, all of them, except for about a handful of people, thought we were jerks for doing this. How dare you? And I said, you guys, all of you guys have been given a blessing to cover this, just like we have. I'll put our story and what we see up against your cornball crap that you and they really lost it.
Didn't like that, yeah.
They didn't like it at all. So being the first ones out of the bus, and we charged into the room and started loading up our pockets with rolls and cinnamon buns and all that stuff, and coffee, then the Jim Heffernan, the guy that worked for the NFC, gets up and says to everybody, the place is packed with people, and he says, we're going to have to ask some questions here, and so you're free to answer, but remember, when you're called upon, state the newspaper and the news agency that you work for, and then ask your question. Chuck Knoll stands up, and I'm the first guy to raise my hand. I'm way in the back near the rolls and the cinnamon buns. So I'm raising my hand like that, and he says, "Yes, back there." I said, "Yeah, Cubby Schweitzer, Daily Steamer." That was my name. That was my newspaper, Daily Steamer. And so as soon as I said that, I let it hang there for a moment. And then I asked the question. A lot has been said about the zone defense, about what is it, and is it here to stay? And if not, where the hell do you think it's going? Right? So I asked that question. There's a beat, Chuck Knoll, who's kind of a stoic, boring guy. God bless him. So he thinks for a minute, and that pause allows every single person in that room to turn around and look at the jerk that answered the question. Well, that was me. And so Lance is in the back, stuffing his face with rolls, and he's taking notes, right behind me. It works out that he answered the question. He answered the question. So we asked a couple of questions like that. Then we got up, and then Heffernan came back to the podium and just said, there's some ex-players here. We weren't ex-players. There are some ex-players here that are making a mockery out of the Super Bowl and out of this event. And of course, everybody, 90%, as you can see what's going on today, 90% of the people can't think for themselves, right. And they all agree. So except for a handful, and that handful kept following us around, and that group got bigger and bigger and bigger because we went right down the hall to the luncheon where they were asking the Pittsburgh Steelers to come out. Terry Bradshaw came out, and Franco Harris, all the guys came out. Joe Green came out. We wore him out, and so
did they recognize you guys?
Eventually, they kept saying ex-players, and so when they said, "You're Fred Dreyer from the Rams, aren't you?" I said, "What tipped you off? What makes you think you guys can?" I said, "Because we're doing it. That's why." So there was a lot of people. It was really interesting. What turned out to be a harmless attempt at having a lot of fun and sending up the Super Bowl, because it needed to be.
So you're saying at that time, the NFL took themselves way too seriously about the Super Bowl, because what you guys did wouldn't hold a candle to some of the goofy stuff that goes on now.
Well, it's
crazy. It's like a circus.
No, we set the pace for it. We opened the gates for anything to happen, and we were way ahead of our time.
Who were some of the best interviews you remember? Some of the guys that you thought that were playing along with you?
There was Terry Bradshaw. He had his coming out party. Terry was looked upon as not very smart. So the joke was, and I asked him, I said, "Terry, a lot's been said about hat size equaling intelligence. And if so, what's your hat size? Is it a 4 3/8? I think it's a 4 3/8, isn't it?" This idiocy that was perpetrated was so funny when it was coming out. And we asked Jim Marshall, "Jim, you said there's no tomorrow. Well, are you going to be disappointed when the sun comes up?" We just steered stupid stuff that was not football oriented in the format of
a very serious press conference.
Serious questions And I kept telling, what the hell was his name? Dick Young from the Young Ideas. I said, so he came over, was looking at me. I said, "Hey, Dick, this is right in front of it. This is right in front of everybody. Hey, Dick, you need to laugh it up more because you're a boring guy to begin with. And then you kind of hide behind your typewriter and write mundane things about stuff. You're not funny. We just went off and we just sent everybody up, By the time that Roselle called us out of our rooms Roselle says, "So I understand you guys are, what is it, covering the news?" He goes, "Yeah, tomorrow's going to be a great day for us because we got some things planned out." He says, "You're about done now, aren't you?" "No, we got another day, maybe another day or two to go." He says, "You're about done, aren't you?" And he goes, "Sure, we can be done, can't we, Lance?" He says, "Yeah, we can be done. I got enough stuff here." And he says, "Who put you up to this?" And I said, "It was all Dick Shapp's fault."
Oh, that's great. That's great.
No, it was really a lot of fun.
Ahead of your time, Fred. Ahead of your time.
Way ahead of our time.
Everybody, this is Roman Gabriel, host of The Roman Gabriel Show. Our mission is much larger than providing you an entertaining podcast. Our country faces an ongoing crisis of underage youth battling alcohol and drug addiction and a rising suicide rate. This problem impacts all of us and our families. Our nonprofit, the Sold Out Youth Foundation, has been my passion since 2003, impacting hundreds of thousands of middle and high school students, challenging them to an alcohol and drug-free life, while providing a life-changing interactive online education platform, teaching students valuable life skills and success principles, equipping them to pursue their passion and dreams. I need your help. Our program is successful because of people just like you who financially support our movement. Please give safely and easily today by going to our website at soldouttv.com. That's soldouttv.com, and click on the red donate button. Or right now on your cell phone, text SOLDOUT20 to 484848. That's SOLDOUT20 to 484848. All donations are 100% tax deductible, and believe me, any amount will help. Your generous gift can help one more child stay on the right path to health, wellness, and success. Thank you, and be sold out.
Hey, this is Nick Ruffini from Revoice Media, and I'm the executive producer of The Roman Gabriel Show. We got involved with this show because we realized that Roman has a passion for educating the next generation, and we need your help. We need you to be a donor and go to soldouttv.com and donate, whether it's one time or an ongoing basis. Please help us educate the next generation by becoming a donor. Go to soldouttv.com and click donate.
And remember, you can help us at the Sold Out Youth Foundation by donating. Text SOLDOUT20 to 484848. That's SOLDOUT20 to 484848. And help us help your students to stay drug and alcohol free. Fred Dreyer is with us on the Roman Gabriel Show. Go to romangabrielshow.com. And, Fred, last week on our podcast, I had an interview that I did with the great Burt Reynolds that I had done back in, I believe, 1997. Mm-hmm. And we talked a lot about his love for football. And he actually said he wanted to be a football player more than he did an actor. But he talked about the combination of what it took to take that athletic background and apply it to acting. And you were a guy that went into acting from football. Tell me about how that came about. Did you prepare while you were playing, knowing to say, "Hey, I want to be an actor," or was it an opportunity that came up for you?
Well, I had a plan. Look, I always say this, it's corny by now, but it doesn't take you but a year or two to realize that you don't have much time playing that sport. It's just the fact of it. You have to realize and be realistic within yourself to say, "Gee, I'm playing football. I'm getting paid for it. How wonderful!" It's you got a dotted line around your neck I mean, it's just a matter of time before you get it some way, somehow. I luckily having that outlook, I dodged a lot of bullets over the 13 years of my career, and I stayed remarkably healthy considering all of the stuff that we did. My goal was I had a lot of interest in life as a kid, and football came early and came first because I was young. I was playing football at organized football, when I was a teenager. And if it wasn't baseball, Summer League, Connie Mack League, American Legion, if it wasn't high school, then it was hitting the beach. Then it was doing all the things that a kid should be doing. You got pulled into real estate, really involved in real estate in the early 70s. The 70s through the early part, maybe halfway through the 80s and stuff. But I was always curious about acting, so much so that I said, I really want to know. A friend of mine, Brian James, he's passed, but he was a fine character actor in the business, and Brian set me up with a meeting with Nina Foch. She was a famous actress in her day. And she was an acting coach here in town. What I did was I went to see her. She says, "Well, what are you doing here?" And I said, "Well, I want to study acting. Why? I want to understand." And this was as the years went on, we became very, very close friends, dear friends, Nina and I, and so what she meant by that, what is it that you want to be? What do you want to do? You want to be a star? Is that what you want to be? You want to be a movie star? I said, no, I want to study, and I want to understand the fundamentals and the techniques of what it is that they're doing, as well as what actors and actresses aren't doing. I said, and she says, well, that's a good question. That's a good answer to my question. I want to know why, when I watch somebody, I believe them. Why do I like somebody when I see their work as an actor? I don't even know who the hell they are. And I want to know those things. I'm very curious about that. And so she says, okay, I'll accept you. And so we started working, and then I started paying attention, took a lot of notes. I took a lot of notes on how to prepare. And it dovetailed into how athletes prepare. What is it that they're doing? What and why? What's the fundamental, the technique of playing defensive end or playing at the line of scrimmage? Why are they calling that play right now? What's the philosophy? What's going on? I'm getting a lot of joy and fulfillment, because now I'm able to cross-pollinate, cross-compare what it's like to study in acting of that matrix of a business model. Let's put it that way. What's my business model in football? Well, it's at the line of scrimmage. I'm a singular instrument within a group of people, within a system. How is it that I can do my job the best way? How can I effectuate the group the best way? When they give you criticism on your performance, they'll give you scenes to do out of existing plays, and she would assign you. She says, "Fred, I'm going to give you this assignment. I want you to prepare this. It's a monologue. It's Our Town. It's called Our Town. And I want you to prepare it for our next session, next Saturday." Okay. So I read the play. Then I read the monologue. And then I started to apply the fundamentals and the techniques and the elements that she taught us. And I began to take the things that I took for granted, that I never know. I said, oh, so is that how they prepare a monologue? How is it that someone can stand up in front of a camera and rattle off 2 pages of dialogue that's not theirs, that didn't come from them? How do I get to make that mine? How do I get to convince the viewer and the listener? It was a tremendous learning experience. And when I started to lay that underpinning to football, and remember, this is, by studying acting didn't make me tackle better. But what it did do, it made me understand what's happening to me from the other side. My interests kind of suddenly tripled, doubled, quadrupled. I was pretty much in a budding interest in something else other than that. A lot of people, Roman, you know this, you probably talked to your dad about this. You have an opportunity in life, a window in life.
I read that, I remember you having a break. You were up for the Sam Malone role on Cheers, did not get it, but you ended up making appearances on Cheers, which at the time was the most popular show on television.
Right.
How did the Cheers role for you eventually turn into the Hunter opportunity?
Well, it was the same network. NBC was the network. There was myself. Julia Duffy was one team, Ted, Shelley Long, and then there was another English woman, and William Devane. Those were the 6 people that were being considered, that were called over to Paramount Studios to test for a new show called Cheers. Cheers. And it's about the crazy people that come in and out of the bar. That's what it is, about friendships and about crazy people coming in and out of a bar. And we all went over there and studied for it, and Ted Danson got the job. He should have. He was very good at it. He was a good Sam Malone. I always thought that, in doing it, that you always take a role and you interpret it as part of the getting of the job. I had my own personal way of doing and interpreting Sam Malone. So they liked me so much, so they said, we want to bring you back as a recurring role in the show. You'll be Sam's ex-baseball buddy, on location sports reporter, and he's kind of a rascal guy, he's kind of a short hair guy, who's kind of gives Ted a lot of hard problems to solve and so forth and so on, and it was a nice little role. But so I did like about half a dozen of those. And out of that, NBC agreed with Steve Cannell, who was a producer of many shows, the A-Team, Hardcastle and McCormick, and all. He had like about 6 or 7 shows that were. This one was a new show that he was doing called Hunter, Detective in LA. And because of my work on Cheers, they said, yeah, we'd like you to test Fred. So I was one of several people, again, who went over to the studio and tested for Hunter, and I got the job. And so a lot of those things, you never know what's going to happen in life. You walk up and you show up, and the next thing you know, someone's saying, hey, can you take these 2 pieces of paper, these 2 scenes, and go into that room over there and kind of refresh yourself with the scene. would you mind reading in front of these people on camera? No, okay, I'll do that. And you do it, and you come back, and they say, "Great, you got it."
Final moments with Fred Dreyer, former Los Angeles Ram and star of Hunter. And what I thought about as you were talking was the hardest thing for NFL players, especially that played as long as you did, is what you said, finding another passion to fulfill them. And there are a lot of guys who look for that, but they never really find it. When did you realize as an actor that you had found something that you loved at least as much as football?
Well, I think a lot of that stuff in life comes to you, and it hits you as self-evident. I again, like I said, I love movies like everybody else did. I love TV shows, and I've got a sense of humor to some degree, and so I don't take myself too seriously a lot, and I have a lot of fun at doing a great work with a cast of people, football team, acting, and so I look at a lot of this stuff is mostly it'll speak to you. You'll find something. You'll hit a golf ball and say, I could do this probably all day long. This is a lot of fun. I kind of like that. And then suddenly you'll meet somebody that likes to do that too. And next thing you know, you guys are playing a lot of golf together, and then you start belonging to a club, and then, it just kind of snowballs, and it becomes self-evident. Things that hit you, my football career. I did leave the Giants when I realized there's nothing here for me. This is professional suicide. I got to get out of here. New York, Yankee Stadium, all the great things. Wonderful, great tradition, wonderful. I got to get out. So how do I get out? What do I do? And I planned it out, and I got out, and I got to go where I wanted to go. So I did realize that although pro football is a unilateral contract, it works one way and for the benefit of ownership. There's a perpetual option. At the end of your 4-year contract, you're still under the command of the National Football League. You have to figure out a way to realize, and I realized that if I have value as a player, I'll always be in a position to get where I want to go if I have value. If I don't have value, they'll say, "You don't like this, then quit." And once you quit, you're done.
My final question: the Super Bowl's coming to Los Angeles, coming back. It's been anticipated. One of the things that excited me is when the Rams came back to the Coliseum. Of course, the history of the Coliseum, not just in football, but the history of the Coliseum, period. But I thought that was a great thing for new Rams fans to meet these traditional Rams fans that were there since the start. This is going to be a great celebration for a week of bringing the Super Bowl back, and hopefully maybe the Rams can repeat what the Buccaneers did in playing a Super Bowl at home. But tell me about your feelings and thoughts about Super Bowl coming back to Los Angeles.
Well, there is an opportunity here if you're looking in that direction, like we talked earlier. There's a poster here down the hall of a drawing of a 50s LA Ram football player, and it's a cartoon. But what's beautiful about it is it has the horns beautifully painted together, and they're so perfect. They are exactly the way the early LA Ram uniforms used to be in the helmets. The defining element of that uniform is in the helmet. Everybody has a jersey. Okay, yeah. Everybody has a pair of pants.
It was the best looking helmet in the NFL.
It's the best helmet in the NFL once if you do it right. Mm-hmm. When I was there, they separated the horns, and it just lost its. It looks like a mistake, which is, I think it is. So it's an opportunity, if the Rams this year come out and they're at home with the Super Bowl, it'd be great if they put those helmets on.
You're one of the few players, Fred, that wore the white and blue,
Yep.
the old road, almost light navy and white.
Yes.
And then the new uniforms of '73 that were the gold and blue.
Yeah.
What was your favorite uniform?
Well, I thought if we could wear the blue and whites every game, home and away, George Allen was a coach that believed deeply in the all white uniforms. He didn't want to wear the blue ones. As a matter of fact, every time he had an opportunity to be at home, he just said, "We're wearing white. Home team gets to choose, so we're wearing white. We're wearing white no matter where we go. So if we wear white at home, then we're going to be wearing white when we're on the road. Unless you're Dallas, who says, 'Oh yeah, you're not coming. You're not going to pull that on us.' That's what we do, So Dallas wears white all the time until some home team says, 'No, we're going to wear white,' which means Dallas wears blue. And that's the same thing that the Rams had going. But that's to me, my favorite uniform was when I got here in '72 was the all white uniforms. And it was something about the pants. The fronts were silk,
Right. I remember that.
They were silk. And it was such a beautiful, simple uniform. People
And I've got a poster on my wall over here of my dad with the road uniform on. I think it was taken in like '67. What I used to like is the belt, the black belt with those white pants, and then you guys had the baseball sock, the blue sock with the white athletic sock over it.
Yeah,
kind of like a baseball player would wear. But like you said, it was simple and clean, kind of a Penn State type of a look. But
and black shoes.
Exactly, black shoes. And what's interesting to me is the fans aren't stupid. Many of the fans have said, we're just going to keep wearing our traditional gear to the games because we don't like it. And I know that Eric Dickerson, and I guess Eric took a really strong stand to actually go to management for the fans, didn't he?
Yeah, he was vocal. I don't see. Here's what's really fun. You look at the institutionalization of something that is so popular, like football uniforms, baseball uniforms. The Dodgers don't put on red tops or blue tops. They don't screw up and damage the brand.
Or the brand,
That's
exactly.
A tremendous brand. Don't embarrass it, and don't be stupid to think that we're gonna have a different combination. We're gonna have a black Dodger hat with pink LA on it. Roman, if they changed the helmet, it would help that uniform
a
out.
lot. And you're exactly right about the authenticity of that helmet. That helmet is probably of all sports, probably one of the greatest brands ever. And for them to do what they've done, and it doesn't make sense from a business standpoint, because if you take the tradition and the brand out, then you're ostracizing 75% of your fan base.
Yeah, that's right. But it goes back to when I was in high school from '60 to '64. I remember when they went from blue and gold and the wide horns and the horns that met in the middle to when they received complaints from the league office that they couldn't see on black and white TV. They couldn't see the blue and the gold. It looked muddied.
Yeah,
they couldn't see it. So in those days they had
I'll tell you what, it's been so much fun talking with you and hearing some of these stories and just celebrating not only your career, but just the tradition of the Rams. And I've looked forward to this for a long time. Appreciate you coming on. Do me a favor, you and Mike Horn at CRN Digital, have a regular Wednesday sports show that I want everybody to know about. So tell them how they can connect with you guys.
crntalk.com is our call letters, and it is every live Wednesday from 4 to 5 o'clock. We talk about all kinds of interesting things kind of like your show, Roman. We do human interest segments on our show, and it's a lot of fun. We talk about other stuff, talk about the politics of sports, talk about the politics of everyday life, because everything now is run together. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, listen, we're going to look forward to continuing, and let's definitely catch up with each other down the road. Before the
season,
Super Bowl.
the season's starting, Roman, and there's going to be a lot of laughs to be had somewhere down the road here.
Okay, so one other thing for all the Rams fans out there, because I have a big Rams fan following everywhere on all of our sites,
right,
and love the Rams. So, what is your prediction for this Rams team for this year?
I think they'll be good, and of course, everything that goes with that is, will they stay healthy? I think they got the right coaching staff. I think the ownership is in the right spot. They got a great stadium. This will be a big boost for them, to show up every Sunday with a nice stadium to play in front of 60,000 people. And if they stay healthy, they got a good shot at it.
Thanks so much for listening to the Roman Gabriel Show. If you enjoy the podcast, please leave a rating and review on iTunes, and be sure to subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or anywhere else you listen to podcasts. And remember, you can help us at the Sold Out Youth Foundation by donating. Text SOLDOUT20 to 484848. That's SOLDOUT20 to 484848, and help us help your students to stay drug and alcohol free.
The Roman Gabriel Show is produced in partnership with Revoice Media. Executive producers Roman Gabriel and Nick Ruffini, audio editing by Justin Thomas, and graphic design by Catherine Wade. For more music, entertainment, and sports podcasts, check out revoicemedia.com.
Listen to The Roman Gabriel Show at RomanGabrielShow.com or wherever you listen to podcasts.